and just go on live whenever we feel like it. But anyways, let me set this up so we can start this off.
Awesome.
All right. Let me hit start streaming. I think we're gonna go live as soon as I hit it. So let's see.
Wait for some people to get in, but how you doing, man? Yeah, I know.
All right, man. We're good to go.
Oh,
we are live.
I've been great, man. Work's like super chill. Like I'm so far ahead, and I've just been going and finding different spots to hike, and I hooked up with a friend today, went out and hiked with him, and
some sort of a day tomorrow.
Still got some work done too. So
but no,
it's
I've been good,
like,
man. How about yourself?
Really chill, like having a lot of time out in the woods to think and be unplugged and de-screened, and and then I've kind of eliminated most like social media. So even when I'm back home and have screens, I'm kind of unplugged from, kind of the rigmarole of what people are arguing about lately. But, I thought it'd be good for us to come on and have a, pre-election day rundown of how the weirdos should be handling all what's going on with politics around the world, and especially with the U.S. election. So, I mean, again, like I'm probably the worst person to prognosticate on what's going to happen because of how I said I'm so unplugged from it. But
what's your take on it
it's
all,
so
man?
large, this election at least.
If you could give me a brief synopsis.
You can't really fully ignore it unless you're living in an actual cave. From my perspective, and I know everyone can have a different idea of what's going on, and I think that inherently lies, the problem with like polls and stuff like that. We saw that last time where everyone was like so sure Hillary was going to win, and she didn't. And there's a big part of me that thinks that's going to happen again, just based on, and I don't know if because they're making the most noise and I look at it more, but the enthusiasm for Trump is even more than last time. From my perspective, in my area, driving around, and I drive a lot, I mean, during this, year, I don't know, I drive like 600 miles a week pretty much. And I've driven all around cities and countryside of Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and New York. And at least in those areas, you see a lot more Trump stuff, so I don't know what the rest of the country's like. I don't know, if there's just a lot of people that don't have signs out, aren't waving flags, that are going to vote for Biden. I don't know. There's part of me that's like, I see the media says the polls, it's like historically for Biden, but I don't know, man. From my perspective, it seems like Trump has so much more enthusiasm towards him, and I think he's going to win. Whether it ends up being, I don't think we're going to find out for sure tomorrow night, but I think that's what ends up happening. I don't know. I may be wrong. I'm not saying I want that to happen. I'm just from what I'm gauging from everyone else around me, that's what it seems like. What's it like from the perspective, being in a more urban situation?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly the opposite, right? And I think that's just what it is, just being a product of the environment. Um, I think being able to think outside of my location, though, I do agree with what you just said. And these aren't our political opinions or anything like that. I just kind of see it. Like, it was forget what podcast it was. Some podcast that just basically put the election in such clear terms, and it was like a lot of people are seeing this as you either vote for Trump and there's openings, that stuff starts opening back up, or it's Biden and it's more of the same and more of this and worse shutdowns. And it's like people aren't wanting more of the shutdowns, even if it's what's right, you know, and people just don't want that. It's not natural for us to be in that. I don't know. It's just I don't know. The location. The location plays a huge role, though. That's all I know is the location plays a massive role because, you know, I got cousins that are in rural areas and they're saying the exact same thing as you, and they think that there's no way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's all
people that
and
are the furthest against Trump, but it's like there's no way that it goes his direction. You know, we were actually I was visiting my buddy. Or hold on, somebody in chat just said my audio's a little bit fucked up, so I gotta plug in or unplug and plug back in. 1 second. Yeah. But let me just tell one story real quick. So I was visiting my cousin. Hopefully that fixed the audio. But I was visiting my cousin, and we were in Colorado, and we were like I was helping him shoot some footage, and the person that let us borrow a location, like a set that we were shooting on, was like,
no, I think it's gonna end up being the same thing, and this is what we see play out with the Electoral College, is that the cities, and this is where the polls are done and everything. You know, like polling people aren't knocking on farmers' doors and stuff like that. You know, they aren't going to city council meetings and listening to the people bitch about stop signs and whatever. You know, like they're out on the street in a city or in a, you know, shopping district asking people, or they are reaching out through you know, targeted advertising, and people who really want to give their opinion, just like a Google review or something like that, you know, really want to give their opinion, get on there and say whatever. Or they're cold calling, and the only people that answer fucking numbers that they don't know are boomers. And so that's you know, the polling is just inaccurate. There's this whole chunk of people that either the polls don't want to, you know, they don't want to go ask the guy with 6 Trump flags hanging off his truck. They don't want to go ask him. They know, you know, so they're not getting their accurate. They're not getting their input in these polls, and they're not getting the people that, you know, don't want to talk to anyone and are just going to fucking vote. And, you know, they think Biden's too creepy and old or whatever. And so I think they're like missing this whole section. And I fully expect that Biden will win the popular vote by possibly even more than Hillary does. Because, like, you know, more people are motivated, but they still live in the same places that voted for Hillary the last time. And I just don't think Trump lost any support. And I think he only gained support. And I think the Electoral College is going to fall pretty much the same. You know, maybe Biden will win a couple states, but like, I think the Electoral College is going to win it for him, you know? And I think that comes down to, like, that's what happens when you have this divide between urban and rural populations. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
and
I was actually talking.
I mean, and
to,
that leads me to like my whole like
how
view on all this. Because like I voted. It's just, I don't know what the rigmarole is about. Like,
there's a loser. We're all
Tuesday.
We're
you gotta go
all
vote
in this together.
Like, I voted like a.
But there's a loser. And it's gonna feel like the biggest
and
L
you
they've
don't
ever
even need to
taken
put pants
their whole
on,
life because of how drummed up it's
and
been.
you do have to get a stamp. That took me a while to mail it out, but to actually vote, like, it's stupid easy. I don't know why, like, all this shit about voter fraud and the mail gonna get, whatever. It's nonsense, and like, let's not fucking really put that much importance on ourselves that our vote matters. Like, if the fucking mail loses my vote, okay, whatever. I voted for a third party candidate anyway, so like, whatever. Like, most people would say I was throwing my vote away. If the USPS throws it away for me, then good for them. But I think this election, not just that it's the two worst people in the country, but that, nobody really, well, I won't say nobody. Most people don't really want to vote for who they're voting for, and like, how fucked up is that? This has to be the end of the two-party system. There has to be a third party that comes out next time. Like, it just has to be. If not, like, we're just in the last days of the U.S., I think. It's like, this has to be the final signal to people that, like, the Electoral College is fucked up, the way we do debates and primaries is fucked up, and the whole two-party system is fucked up. And so I'm looking for, like, almost, other than like being a violent situation, I'm looking for the most fucked up nonsense, like, just makes the whole process look stupid and antiquated. I'm hoping that that's the result. Whatever it is, whoever wins, I hope it's just like everybody walks away like, Jesus Christ, we need a third party, Oh, okay. It sounds good on my side. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I I don't know. I guess maybe I don't have a lot of faith that scenario I laid out is going to actually happen, but that's my hope, is that out of, like, there's so many people that voted for Trump, and I heard this a lot of them saying, that they want him to just burn it all down. You need the clown to come in and wreck the room to really get, back to where you're on the right path or whatever. And so I'm hoping that's what comes of this is if that ends up being another Trump term. I hope it's, so fucked up that, like, everybody kind of wakes up and is like, okay, Jesus Christ, we got to change the way we do things here. I mean, the whole election campaign system is just so fucked up because people hold their vote, they hold it with such high esteem, like, that's why people always talk about voter fraud and all this stuff. And they hold it in such high esteem, yet most people don't pay attention at all to what actually fucking happened from their vote and what that person does or whatever. We just parade around like, we fucking won, man. We fucking won. Like, no matter which side wins, like, nobody really pays attention to, like, the nuts and bolts of politics and policy and all this stuff. With the same amount of enthusiasm that they talk about their vote and how sacred it is and whatever. I mean, that's one thing where people were always saying to me, as someone who votes third party or doesn't vote, you're throwing your vote away. And it's like, no, I'm putting my vote in. It's everyone else that is voting for someone they don't like that is throwing their vote away.
Is my audio still coming in through you to you?
Yeah, sounds fine.
Let me see. All right, let me see now.
Does everyone say your audio?
It was crackling. I think now it's good though. All right, we're good now. But anyways, what were you talking about? I was distracted by making those fixes.
just that this has to be the end of the two-party
Yeah.
system. You know, that it's like we end up with the two least liked 80-year-old white guys in
Dude,
the planet.
How
as the
ridiculous
leaders.
is that neither one, once again, 4 years later, is just another bust. Like, either way, we're just getting screwed, man. Like, I didn't vote.
Yeah.
I might walk to the poll center, which hopefully nobody's bothered by me not voting, but I look at it as kind of non-participation in the system as participation in whatever's next. That's the way I look at it. But with that said, I do plan on going tomorrow to the local polling center and voting on like some local laws. But other than that, like, I just don't see. It's just throwing crap at and hoping something sticks. Like, I don't understand how somebody can get excited really about either candidate unless you're like deep in the weeds about them. You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen anybody moderate, like truly moderate, being super excited about either one of these candidates, right? It's just either you're the farthest to right or the farthest to left, and that's the only way that you kind of are a fan of these guys.
Yeah.
It's disappointing, dude. It's fucking 2020. Please.
I know. It's so terrible. And then even like the vice presidential stuff, right? Where I've heard some people say like, no, Harris is the actual president you're voting for. You know, Biden just needs to beat Trump. And it's like, well, then why the fuck isn't she running? Why? Like, what does she need this old dude who can't fucking make a sentence? What does she need to stand behind him? Like, what the fuck? And last time I checked, she was the first one out of the primaries. So why is she you know, like, like Andrew Yang, who I fucking really like, he lasted months longer than Harris did. Why is he not the VP? Why is he not the presidential pick? You know, like what? Like, it's just all bullshit, dude. You know, and then even the mudslinging is nonsense. Where like both sides are like, you know, look at his corrupt son, and it's like, wait a minute. So like they're both of them have corrupt sons, and those are the two fucking people we have to choose from. Why don't we choose from someone that doesn't have a corrupt son? There's plenty of them in this country.
No, and it's just it doesn't make sense. And I think, dude, I just feel like USA is just striving as hard as it can to become the best meme it can be right now. Like, it is trying. It's trying to top every meme that's came before it, and just be like, guys, we're at least number one in the meme category. Like,
and we're like, if we can't be a meme, we're gonna be the fucking biggest troll in the world. Like, we're the troll country.
I don't mind being a troll, but but we got some people in chat. We got the Democratic primaries were a joke. Absolutely, I agree with that. Had 20 motherfuckers running to kneecap Sanders, and I don't think Harris won any delegates. And then we had somebody else chime in. How can you justify or feel good about voting for Biden when the primaries weren't an honest process at all? Yeah,
I know. Coronavirus hit, and they were like, primaries over, it's Biden. It's like, wait a minute, was he still in it? You know, like,
I thought, honestly, I had a thought that Bernie, they were going to let him slide through on Super Tuesday with that divided pack. But then just like literally 12 hours before, they all band together. And then somehow still Biden just wins by an absolute landslide in those states. And it's just like, wait, what? Like, was it really?
Yeah.
Were all those people really just waiting to vote for Biden? Like, that's so strange to me.
Yeah. Dude, it's so fucked up. And I mean, though, that's the thing is like, that's how the system wins, you know? And I get the feeling of like, you know, if you got orange man bad syndrome so hard that you're like, I don't give a shit. We just need to get him out of office. I understand if people are voting for that. I don't want anyone to think like, you know, we got to get, like, I understand that. I don't have Orange Man Bad syndrome, mainly because, like, I've just decided to fucking ignore that shit. And I also, like, think way out. Like, I think that all American politics is a fucking game and whatever. And, like, it's very short-sighted. It's just stupid monkey games, and whatever. So, like, I don't have an emotional connection to politics, but, like, it's a very interesting reality tunnel to observe from the outside. And so, like, I understand people that are in that reality tunnel that are, like, so emotionally connected, like, yes, vote whatever makes you feel that. But when you're outside of that and you don't have that emotional connection, you realize that, like, it doesn't matter. Like, the same thing's going to happen. The same stimulus package is going to get passed. The same money printing is going to go on. That, the same shit is going to happen regardless of who's in. So minor things are going to change. The demeanor of how we're presented, to the rest of the world is going to change. But other than that, like, the same shit's going to happen. And that's just how the two-party system works, is because if they didn't have this back and forth bad guy versus good guy, red versus blue kind of thing, nobody would donate money to it. And that's the big thing. The super PACs, because all of this changed, all this super partisan, like, winning is all that matters. We'll figure out the fucking policy later. Like, all of that started from Citizens United. And when that bill, I guess it was a court ruling or whatever with the Supreme Court, but whatever. Citizens United is when they made it okay we've always had lobbying, but political donations to campaigns were pretty hard capped, and you had to do some fuckery to donate a lot of money to someone to really get them in your back pocket. And then Citizens United made it so that you could form these PACs, political action committees, and you could get, all the CEOs to donate millions of dollars to pass legislation that will help them out. And you can donate, millions and billions of dollars to campaign funds. Once that happened, it became a race to be the party that raises the most money, and everyone else gets fucked in that. Like, anyone voting for either person gets fucked by the people that are actually providing the money to these parties and stuff like that. And then it all comes down to, like, all these commercials and shit you see on YouTube, all that. Like, that's where all that money comes from, is all super PACs. And I don't know how we fucking beat that, like, that they got us really pinned in. I mean, the fact that, like, two people that don't really give a shit about this are having a podcast talking about it, like, they even got us a little bit, like, we're bought in a little. I put a goddamn suit on for this, like, I mean, it got me a little.
No, I agree, man. The only way out of it is to make all of that illegal. There shouldn't be large campaign contributions, but it's almost a law or a ruling that is damn near impossible to go back on now, because it's all bought and paid for. So the people that the people that would oppose it won't get the money. It's really that simple. But we got some people in the chat as well. When the Dems said that they were taking the coronavirus seriously, but then pushed forward with in-person voting only on Super Tuesday, I knew it was a joke. They should have pushed it back and opened it up by mail. Do you think there's a real risk of violence whichever way it turns out tomorrow? I know there's a lot of fear where I live, and I'm not sure how that's going to manifest itself. The energy just feels wild.
There'll definitely be violence either way, just because of how seriously people are taking this. If you bought a $30,000, specialized trailer so that you could have your 10 different Trump and Blue Lives Matter flags on it and drive around at 10 miles an hour with your buddies who also bought $20,000 trailers with their Trump flags,
equipped with a full arsenal
around an entire interstate around a city for a whole afternoon. If you were willing to do that, you're willing to fucking, go fucking yell in someone's face and create a situation where like someone's going to get violent. Now, as far as like guns and stuff like that, I'm sure that's going to happen. It was happening before it. Why the hell would it stop? You know? But I mean, and I will say, and again, I may be biased and I'm nowhere near a right winger or anything like that. But most of the violence this year has been left wing. Now, I know all the conspiracy stuff about, government, not black flag. What's the false flag, kind of stuff. And I've seen all this stuff saying all the like major headline shooting stuff is all government people and whatever, I get it. I don't know. That'll happen whether it's real or not. Like there's going to be, protesting, violent rioting and shooting and stuff like that. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just think whatever happens, it'll be overly amplified by the media because what else are they going to cover?
It will. Like, right. You'll be sitting there watching a Twitter link going like, oh my God, look at Portland or whatever. And then you look out your door.
Yeah.
You won't see nothing. Like that's definitely a scenario that we're going to have. I don't know. But again, I'm not going to get too caught up in that. Like whatever affects Bitcoin's price is probably going to be the links I click, but like the other stuff that's just like brainwashing, I don't know. I'm not going to be tapped into that. So I don't know. But I think both sides are guilty of that, and it's both sides. It's just people. If it's not fake, if it's not false flag stuff, well, it's just fucking people taking this goddamn bullshit way too seriously.
Is people taking it way too seriously.
Why are you gonna? Yeah, right. Why are you gonna shoot somebody else over you thought someone else that almost half of the country thought should have been president didn't get to be? Like like when why
and then claim that you want freedom of speech, but
right, but I mean it's gonna happen, unfortunately. I mean, the least likely scenario would be like tomorrow, just they're like, oh, Biden won, and everyone's like, all right. So what are we doing for Thanksgiving? Like that's not gonna happen. Like whatever's gonna happen is gonna be crazy. And I'll tell you what really scares me. Yeah, and it's the last I'll mention about the violent stuff, but. What really scares me is first off, like I think the Supreme Court battle was so hyped up with people because it's going to come down to the Supreme Court. I think the Supreme Court is going to choose the next president, and that won't happen until January. And so in January we will have the Supreme Court thing, which will spark off rioting either way, and then we will have the inauguration, which will spark off rioting. Which will last a couple months. We'll probably have a coronavirus spike thrown in there or something like that. And then March 8th is when the trial for the guy that killed George Floyd is. And I can't imagine that's going to be without fireworks, And so like that's what scares me is there's just like boom, 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 and then way too much time until the Ghislaine Maxwell trial starts. And it's like, so the weirdos that are waiting for that, we got to go through a lot of bullshit before we get that.
Let's see what else we got. There's potential high risk of political violence in small pockets. Somebody said violence is almost a given at this point. I hope it's not too bad. I know a lot of major cities are doing some boarding up already. I have several friends in DC who left town over the weekend to bring back a bit to I'll get to that after this one. Walmart pulled all guns and ammo off the shelves in anticipation of looting. And then to bring it back to the psychedelics and one world culture, it feels like all of humanity on this planet has almost been completely lost during this election cycle. Like there's no connection, that we're all just humans on a rock anymore. I almost agree with all that pretty much. I do think that there's going to be violence at some point. Like I said, though, I don't think it will be as bad as the media will make it seem. My buddy actually has like a theory on this election, and he's not political at all, but he's just fully convinced that Trump's going to win strictly because of how much money he makes the media. And he's like, what the fuck are they going to do? You know,
Oh,
like what are they going
right.
to do if
Yeah.
he loses? So it's
How,
like
yeah.
he bet on it, but
Yeah. How are we going to go back to just a random
Mhm.
run of the mill old guy? You know, like how are we going to go back to that? We've had the coolest fucking president ever and the biggest jackass of a president ever. How are you going to go back to like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm Joe Biden? You know, like how are you
Yeah.
going to go back to that? You got to have
Or
some
I
crazy
mean,
fireworks.
Kanye could wiggle his way in.
Otherwise,
You never
fucking.
know. That's the next step of the
Oh,
craziness.
I know.
But dude, the
Yeah.
psychedelics thing is like, I just think it's been a process that's gone on for multiple decades now, where the middle class has been completely depleted and keeps shrinking, gets eliminated, and the only division is an economic division. But the top of the economic division creates multiple more distractions of divisions, racism. You know, racism is just the biggest one that comes to me, right? And political affiliation, any distraction that can get in before the economic division, they created that. The people at the top obviously are creating that with the media, and that's the only thing that is getting in the way of us realizing that we're all the same, living on a fucking floating rock in the universe. And it's like, why can't people see through that? Like, people want to instead just digest what they see, not critically think about it, and put on a jersey, you know, red or blue, and then they're trying to be the freaking Walter Payton of the team by going as hard as they can for it, and it's just super fucked, man.
I know. Well, and that's why, you know, my advice to this country is, if you got half a brain in your head, you know, if you're not a complete fucking sheep, how in the fuck are you not even like considering psychedelics at this point after this year? If you haven't done them, you know, if you haven't done them, I guess is what I meant. You know, it's like, how in the fuck could you see everything that's happened, everything we're facing, everything that potentially could happen down the road, and be like, I know you got those mushrooms that make you see things, but I'm good with what's going on here. How is consensus reality better at this point than the ability to fucking see through time and space from a mushroom that grows out of cow shit? You know, how in the fuck is that any more ridiculous than what
I know,
we're
right?
going
It's definitely appearing more and more as a tremendous alternative, and like it's crazy because it's almost like it's meant to go down this way, because I feel like more people are dealing with mental anxiety and depression at the same time that it's all coinciding with like the legality of it all. You know, it's almost like it's going to converge at a perfect point where there's going to be a lot of people taking therapy and a lot of people that want answers coming together with things becoming more and more legal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, dude, it's like, it's that fucking, you know, singularity of like the like psychedelics and mainstream culture, you know, is what we're seeing right now. There will be no going back. Like, they are, like, psychedelics are part of mainstream culture now, you know, like, there's a lot of noise in front of that, but once that noise dies down, like, everyone's going to realize, like, oh shit, that's right, you can fucking get prescribed MDMA. I forgot about that. You know, like that. I mean, that's honestly how crazy the next fucking 5 to 10 years are going to be.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be us that are like, holy shit, they legalized MDMA, but your neighbor's going to be like, I don't give a fuck, dude. Like, what, like, did you see what happened at, you know, where I worked or whatever? You know, like, it's just going to be so crazy that, like, it's not even going to, it's going to be third page news.
I hadn't thought of that. It's gonna all happen in the background, and then it's going to be an option for everybody that needs one, you know?
Yes, exactly.
We got some more people in the chat. Political media has gotten so wealthy during this administration. It's almost like it's must-see TV at this point. Let's see. Some comment about Epstein's Island, tremendous. It's insane they have this much say as they do at this point. The honest reporting has completely been lost. I've never had anxiety in my life before until COVID, and it's gotten bad, especially during the election stuff. I'm very thankful for psychedelics and microdosing to slap me in the face. A good dose of perspective every once in a while is so important. Dude, and we'll touch on the psychedelic component of that comment, but that's reporting has completely gotten fucked, man. Like, I have no idea where to go for news, right? And there's at the same time, there's every perspective that you could ever want being published. You know what I mean? And it's just like, who do I trust, man? Like, it's so hard to find a reporter, or especially an entire outlet that you can trust as the truth, whatever you want that to be, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I know. I mean, just like, I touched on it there about Biden's corrupt son or whatever, but that whole fucking thing with the New York Post getting blocked off of Twitter.
No, I mean, what was it for?
Story?
Didn't they report on the laptop stuff?
Yeah. I mean, that whole thing is obviously calculated mudslinging. And I imagine the Democrats knew, like, shit, dude, they got Hunter's laptop, because they knew like a year ago. Like, that's like, you know, what Alex Jones was talking about. Steve Bannon had this laptop a year ago, and like, so it's like a very timed out, like, we'll hit him with this, then boom, boom, boom. It's all campaign strategy. But anyway, so for whatever reason, they gave it to the New York Post, and they posted it to Twitter, and it got blocked. Their account got blocked. Like, the New York Post is like one of the oldest newspapers in the country, and they blocked it, and you couldn't share the link. That's or crazy, nothing.
Man. Why? What was the reason?
It turns out like it's not. Well, they were saying it's a fake story, and it's, you know, fake news basically. So they blocked them for that. But and like, they are a more like of a, you know, tabloidy kind of fucking newspaper, but they don't post bullshit, you know? And so, yeah, like, and after 3 or 4 days, when it was like, yeah, all this stuff's actually kind of real, then they were like, oh, okay. And like, they unblock their account, and then they have to delete the original post, but they're letting them repost the link. But now everyone's already got it.
If anything, that drew more eyes to it.
Yeah, it made it a way bigger story. I don't think it changed anyone's votes, you know, like, it's all just nonsense, but it if anything, it's like validation for people like me to, like, see, that's why you don't fucking vote for either of these fucks. Yeah.
Either way, you're getting fucked.
Like, as much as I don't think Trump should remain president, it's like, well, if you're only letting me choose this guy, then I don't give a shit.
Don't you think we're almost at a point where we don't need a president?
So here, I wanted to get into like a kind of a where I think we could go. Not that I think we will go, but
like, why do we want,
I think,
like, do we come to an agreement that we want one guy representing us, or one guy or girl representing us?
We don't. And so the only reason to still have a president, to still have Congress, to still have that and this and that, is for tradition, you know? It's just as important at this point. Honestly, we have the technology, we have the capability, that keeping a constitution and a president and a Congress is just as important as keeping the tradition of having a Christmas tree and Christmas lights and Christmas presents. And I'm not saying that as I hate the government, you know, like, I got a fucking American flag right there. That's for my grandpa from his funeral. I mean, this guy fought on the fucking beaches in Normandy, got drafted into World War II. And like, he lived through Saving Private Ryan, you know. I'm pro America, but I'm pro progress, and I'm pro like understanding, like, you know, the capability of humans from a spiritual level, from a physical level, and from a technical level. Humans can always be getting better. And I understand if we want to keep the traditions, but at what cost
Yeah.
are we keeping those traditions? And I think that's the problem with the way when we're talking like no matter who wins, there's going to be violence. Well, that's kind of fucked up. Like that means that nobody really actually likes the country, or you only like half the country, and that's fucked up. You know, I don't only like half that flag; I like that whole flag. You know, so it's just I don't know. Again, it's like the fucking two-party system is to blame for all of this.
I think that and the media, obviously,
and the media. So that's the other thing, right? Like the other fucked up thing with Twitter. And I like Jack Dorsey, but like Twitter as an organization and the way that like kind of like PC culture or woke culture or whatever has like infiltrated all the algorithms that like manage the media. Brett Weinstein with the Unity 2020 movement that got banned and was labeled as hate speech and against community standards. And this was a movement to be like, these two candidates fucking suck. And we could do way better. And to do that, we need both parties to reach across the aisle. And you know, he was talking about all of the cool, you know, new the non-boomer generation politicians on both parties, and getting them to come together as a party, as the Unity 2020 party. That was labeled hate speech to have that idea and banned by the media, by social media, you know, and not covered by mainstream media, you know. Like my parents, which desperately need to hear what Brett Weinstein had to say about Unity 2020, have no idea it ever existed because they squashed it before it fucking got to their fucking TV brainwashing.
Well, and I mean, to the media, it is hate speech because it's going to cut into their pocketbooks. But some solid comments. Hunter Biden tips strippers heavy, does hella drugs, typical rich kid connected shit. Somebody commented that your take on the keeping the Congress is similar to the Christmas tree tradition. It was a good take. Constitution should be updated by now. It's needed. It only gets updated to help rich dudes. Do you guys see any way that the division and partisanship we've seen over the last 4 years will die down at all going forward? I worry it's only going to become a new baseline and escalate from here.
Okay, yeah. So what I wanted to say about that, sorry, I was making a drink here. So where I was going with that is as far as like why I value, you know, the technical growth in humans. I don't fear, you know, like the Matrix kind of thing. I actually value where we will add our, you know, to our technology. And again, like I've fallen way down the cryptocurrency blockchain rabbit hole, but honestly, blockchain, maybe not Bitcoin fixes this, but blockchain fixes this. And what I mean by that is the whole way our campaigning, primary process, voting, debates, all of that stuff is so like antiquated. Like, you know, for instance, when Joe Rogan was saying, you know, or someone said like, hey, you should moderate a debate or have them on the podcast. And it never became a thing. Like Trump was okay with it, maybe, but, you know, or whatever, he tweeted about it. But, you know, Biden didn't even respond to that. It's like, why can't we have a 3-hour fucking instead of a debate that is, you know, all about the fucking pharmaceutical commercials? Like why can't we have our two candidates sit down and fucking talk for 3 hours and get fact checked along the way, like Joe Rogan would do, you know, and have Jamie Google shit, right? Why can't we do that? You know, just let alone that technology of podcasting. When I mean the blockchain, why can't we vote on our phones on an app? We handle all of our banking, so we value our vote. And we're more protective of our vote than our fucking money? Like we do everything on our phones, but we can't vote on our phones. That wouldn't be safe. With blockchain, it could be all verifiable, all transparent. Nobody could hide anything. You could even get paid in a non-fungible token or an NFT to vote. What do you think voter turnout would be like if you got paid to do it and you could do it from your phone?
Just record breaking.
What do you think the two-party system would look like if the 88 million people that don't vote all of a sudden got paid to do it? And there was a third party.
That's too good. We can't have it. It's too good.
The boomers don't understand that. Any boomer listening to this, everything I just said went over their head. And so like that's what sucks. And they vote more than anyone else. So like it's just we just gotta fucking wait them out. That's
pretty much how it goes. They can't do a 3-hour convo because it's a completely uncontrollable situation. They'll never allow a 3-hour discussion because you'll actually learn something. It makes too much sense, dude. It always has to be one step too difficult. It just always has to be that way. Like I don't understand why. It just there's no they would actually have to do their job if it got simplified by 10%. They would actually have to do their job, and that they won't allow that 10.
They would have to be
held, allow that 10%.
Politicians do not want to be held accountable for what they said to get people to vote for them. Like I mean, I remember Sarah Palin. I don't know if she was running or if she was just like endorsing someone at their thing or whatever, but it was, anti-Obama rally she was giving, and she's like, "How's that hopey changey stuff working out for you?" I remember that buzz line. I don't know what the context was, but I remember that. But it's like I want to tell like everyone that was a huge Trump supporter, like, how's that fucking wall working out for you? Like, when's the last time you heard about that motherfucker? Like it doesn't matter. The fucking the shit they say to get you to vote for them doesn't fucking happen. And nobody gives a shit because you won. Yeah. And then the people that voted for the loser keep doing it every time because they hate the other side so goddamn much. Like, and they don't even fucking pay attention to anything going around. Like, I will say, I don't know if I've come off like bashing Trump too much in this, but I will say that, one of the only things I care about with the American government is like not being at war. And he's been one of the most fucking peaceful presidents on a international front. Domestically, like everyone's been fucking worse than ever. But as far, like there's been a lot less fucking bombings, and the ones that were very like calculated and pinpoint, he's had 2 historic fucking peace treaties in the Middle East. Now, all of that's probably based around oil and, putting fucking Trump towers in Dubai and all this shit. Of course, that's how fucking Trump rolls. But still, as far as like an overall thing for us, like the least war we're in, the better I feel about some parasitic organism parading itself around as a government, stealing money from me, like that's all I care about is less war, less fucking, less of our people, like our soldiers, going and having traumatic experiences, but also, less fucking other countries getting bombed by us,
Yeah, I agree, man. It's, that is one silver lining, I guess, to the current leadership, is that it's not like, dude, I remember like, whoever was in charge, I remember previous wars, and it's like the front page of the news sites are blah, 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 war, day, whatever, get up to 3 digits.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? That never made sense to me. And it's just, to me, that's another thing that's powered by the media, But it's wild because I feel like you two are some of the most optimistic people out there, and it feels even fatalistic for you guys. The system is that far gone at this point. If you do,
Oh, but I've been
Yeah.
saying that for a while. This is just I'm parading around like, see, I was right.
That's the optimism, is telling everybody you were right. But if you want to do things within the rules, there's definitely a third party that can come in and take over. They did that recently in Mexico. I don't know if that's a joke or America is prison you're born into. Yo, I just got done live streaming on the Facebook page, blah, blah, blah. Adam's in here. Let's see. Have you looked
What's up,
into...
Adam?
Wait, what? A lot of these are confusing comments. The current admin has absolutely not deviated from bombing and supplying the weapons industry with work. Yeah. I did want to talk about... Oh, go ahead.
Well, okay.
I have a story to share after this, though.
Okay. So I'm not saying that Trump has deprived the military industrial complex at all. No. I'm just saying there's far less just kind of random indiscriminate drone bombings, like I used to just see on Twitter all the time during Obama's administration. Like I remember there was one tweet storm where when Prince Harry's son, or is Prince Harry the baby? I don't know. When one of the like royal babies was born, on that same day, we drone striked a mosque in Iraq or wherever. I don't remember the details, but we drone strike some, mosque, and it was off of faulty or inaccurate intelligence briefing, and it was a like a birthday party for like a 13-year-old, like a coming of age, bar mitzvah, whatever the bar mitzvah type of thing is in Islam, and killed like 60 kids, and this was the kind of thing where it's like, it wasn't mainstream headline news, but it's like, I haven't seen anything like that in the kind of back channels, kind of Twitter streams I follow with Trump. So, and I saw a lot of that. That's just a specific thing that I remember seeing. But I don't know. A lot of that is political bias. I don't have a fully accurate view of that. But at least the media, the mainstream media, and the back alley media haven't had as many like kind of just warmongering type of links and scenarios with Trump. That's what I meant about Trump and military stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on like the whole not really being optimistic thing, even though you and I are very optimistic people. I am optimistic. I just think the future that will be better is going to come by very like turbulent ways. It's I just like, there's just so much division. Going back to earlier conversation, there's so much division right now that it's the narratives that people are subscribing to are dividing immediate families at this point. And firsthand experiences, of friends, not my current family, thank God, but of friends, having the narrative of, if you and your parents don't agree on the same thing, then your parents are wrong and you shouldn't talk to them. Stuff like that. That's that. I mean, obviously it's very polarizing, and it's the extreme of one side or the other, but it's something that a lot of people are subscribing to, and it's ruining families, man. And like, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because those that subscribe to that will die out. Not actually die, but that mentality can only breed more seclusion, in my opinion. Whereas the people that say, that's politics, family is blood, like, that is the optimism I have, is that people will, like you say, realize that this is all bullshit and be like, let's reevaluate what's actually important. And like I've been straight up at the buffet bar of the media company eating all this fucking free media and making me think that, you know, my parents are evil for thinking one way or the other, or anything that they feed you, and you're believing it. And then you're just like, whoa. And you step away from the buffet line and you're just like, wait, what is all this shit? You know? And that's the optimism I have, is that I think more and more people are starting to wake up to that reality that, like, you have nowhere to go. Like, if you break up with your family, where the fuck are you going? You're alone, dude. Like, that is not anything that I want for anyone, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's the optimism I would share with you there is a silver lining of the pandemic, is that once, you know, as I was talking with Rich on the phone a couple of days ago, and he put it a way that I'm going to start using of the man in the tower, you know, for like Fauci or, you know, the governor or whoever says, okay, hey, you don't got to wear the mask no more or whatever, you know, whoever's going to broadcast out to everyone that is feeding into it that it's okay, give the all clear. Whenever the man in the tower is like, hey, you can hug your grandma again, families are going to, you know, just rush back to each other. And at that moment, when you haven't been able to be in your parents' house for a year and a half or however long this takes, are you going to give a shit that, you know, your stupid cousin had a Trump flag on his truck and this is a Democrat family or whatever, you know? Like, I think like all that stuff is going to be like, oh, that was fucking silly, you know? And I think like a lot of that will die down and families will bond, and that will bleed into the culture as far as the bitter, like, partisan divide that we have, you know, will start at the family level. The healing that happens and the you know, reunification of our families, that will cure a lot of that partisan divide. I feel like.
I hope so, man.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's the thing, you know, that's what sucks is we have this perfect storm right now where parties are divided ideologically over politics, but also divided from, like, I don't know, the kids are, you know, I mean, just, you know, talking out of my position, like, dude, I don't know if my kids will ever see my dad again, like, other than Zoom.
Oh yeah,
you know, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, and there isn't even a political divide there. It's just like, all right, well, you know, Zoom you on Sunday, you know, or whatever. But like that, I don't know. I can't say that, especially with his age and health and stuff like that. Like, there's not even really, I can't even guarantee he'll survive through the pandemic without even catching corona, you know? So it's like, I think that's a common thing with families right now, you know, and protecting the vulnerable and stuff like that, you know? So the quicker that ends, I think the quicker the healing of like political divide happens, you know?
I agree. Somebody was asking if we talked about Joe Jorgensen yet. I don't know enough about him to really speak on his behalf or anything about his ideas.
Well,
well, it is. Exactly. That's how far removed I am from all this.
Yeah. And I'm not talking pronouns. I think she's actually a woman. But no, well, to be honest, that's who I actually voted for. But to also be honest, I haven't seen one fucking thing of her talking. I don't even know what she looked like. Yeah, but anyway, my reasoning is just a total protest vote. You know, I needed to vote because of some school levy stuff on my ballot, and I was gonna write in myself. And then I was like, well, that's stupid. They might throw out my whole ballot. And Then I was going to vote Kanye. I was going to vote Kanye, like write in Kanye or Tulsi, but I was like, I don't know if they weren't on the ballot. I didn't know if that actually works. And I was like, I didn't want to nullify my ballot because of the school levy stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll just vote the third party on here, you know? And if anything, the protest vote, it's like, you know, her 1% or 2% or whatever will show up on TV, and you know, the protest vote goes a little farther, voting for someone that's actually on the ballot. So that's who I voted for. I will say, however, and I'm being honest with you guys, obviously, I always am. I very, very frequently in real life lie to people about who I voted for. One reason is my parents are so bought into this nonsense that I just stop the fucking conversation and not get shit about it. I'm just like, yeah, I voted for Biden. Yeah, fuck Trump or whatever. You know, I tell them that. On the flip side, I've been having a lot of fun fucking with people. When I like customers that I talk to and knock on their door, if they have a Biden sign or nothing, they don't bring up politics, because why the fuck would you? Like, some dude's just trying to come, you know, do his work and whatever. But if they have a Trump sign, they really want to fucking talk to you about Trump. And so they'll ask, like, hey, how about this election? You know, and it's like, yeah. And they'll be like, who are you going to vote for? Like, they'll always ask that. I mean, this is more like probably 7 out of 10 people that I knock on their door, if they have a Trump sign, the same conversation happens. Then they'll answer the door with like a fucking Make America Great Again hat and everything. And they'll be like, yeah, who you voting for, you know, or whatever. And what I've been telling them, and it's really fun to fuck with them and to see their wheels turning. I say, well, you know what? I mean, I definitely voted for Trump in the last election, and I had a hat just like yours or whatever. You know, I mentioned something about MAGA. And I'll be like, but you know what? I just can't get behind his policies, and I'll like bring up economic stuff, and I'll talk about the Federal Reserve and money printing and the budget deficit and the national debt. And I'll just bring up all this stuff that's like totally opposite of what he ran on. You know, I'll bring up the wall. I'll bring up, you know, the swamp and like the people that he's put into cabinet positions. And I'll bring up all this stuff because as much as I hate the system, I'm ridiculously, irresponsibly aware of it all. But I'll bring this all up, and they're just like, but Obama, or, well, yeah, but Hillary, but you know, and like that's where they go, you know, or well, what about Hunter Biden's laptop? You know, like they go there. That's all they got. That is all they got. Like I've come to the realization that at least 70% of Trump supporters, vocal, you know, enough to put a sign in their yard or a flag in their truck, they have no idea what he's actually done or what's been going on. It's rooting for a sports team at this point. So I've had a lot of fun fucking with them and lying about who I voted for, because I obviously didn't vote for Trump before, but I like telling people in those situations that I did.
Dude, we have a great question, or at least a great topic that I know you'll want to talk about in the chat that I want to bring to your attention. It's crazy that the Federal Reserve, national debt and monetary policy didn't come up at all during the debates or during the entire process of election.
Yep. It is kind of funny. It's also funny that for all of this election and debate, all talks about the coronavirus response and you know, Trump should have done this, Biden would have done this. Yeah, it is funny that they all talk about that, but let's look back to what actually first happened. At first, they ignored it, which I think any administration would have done. You know, play it off, downplay it. But then they were like, shit, this is going to get bad. Let's get the members of Congress together, the people that actually do things. And what's the first thing they did? They sold their own fucking stock. What does that tell you? What this is all about and what they knew was going to happen. And then, not to mention before that, before you even heard the word coronavirus, we were at damn near negative interest rates. The banks were fucked. Corporate debt was fucked. Liquidity was fucked. There was not enough cash in the system to make the fucking shit show float. What should have happened in 2008 and didn't happen, we were kicking the can down the road. Since then, the chickens were coming home to roost right before you heard the word coronavirus. And so, I'm not crazy Alex Jonesy enough to believe that the coronavirus was created as a distraction from the bank insolvency that was happening. But it was just one of those things that happens in life. It's just fucking a synchronicity, like a synchronicity on the level of fucking macroeconomics and global humanity and human history. Like, I'm talking a synchronicity that big, which I believe is possible. And that could be what happened. Or it's all manufactured. I don't know. I can debate either of those. Regardless, it's all hiding the fact that most of the stuff that's been done has been to benefit banks and corporations, politicians, and to fuck over everybody else from an economic standpoint. Very little has been done that's actually keeping people like safe. We have invested the minimal amount possible in coronavirus testing. The narratives that were put out from a public health standpoint were Bush League at best, and more damaging than anything else. I think, a big problem we have right now is the whole waffling back and forth on masks and the narrative that it's to protect other people. I think that was nonsense. But regardless, the stimulus, take that. Like, our government gave millions and millions of dollars to small businesses like the Los Angeles Lakers. When all they gave most people was an extra $600 a week if you were unemployed, and a check for $1,200 or $1,000 per kid, and said that should last you till after the election. And they gave us that in June. And then they've been waffling back and forth, putting out, a little story like, oh, we're getting close. Oh, no. And all it does is do these little 2% swings in the stock market. And if our government, if our Congress members that we uphold as this tradition that represents America, we have to have senators and representatives. We have to have them. All they fucking care about is their stocks. Because if you look, I guarantee they're all buying and selling with every one of these 2% drops and 2% raises. And that is all our government has done. Other than that, we've just argued, tried to impeach the president, tried to, mudsling, all of these things. But what they've actually accomplished is raising the military's budget and the amount of money to the military, and fucking with the fiscal policy of the top 1%. And maybe I'm more tuned into that because of my, kind of rabbit hole of Bitcoin that I've choosing to hide out in. But it's pretty undeniable, and it's just this fucking perfect storm, just like we were talking about with psychedelics and how they will be impacted and become part of our culture. Cryptocurrencies are too. Not that they're going to topple the banks, like everyone said. Not that they're going to become the one world currency, like everyone said. Not that they're going to be peer-to-peer cash, like the white paper says, but they are going to be a larger and larger life raft for the people that are actually fucking paying attention to what's going on with the economy and how that ties into everything else, you know? So what did I start talking about?
Yeah, no. I just was asking you about like how it just never got brought up in the debates. And like
no, and it doesn't. But I will say, I do think the next 4 years, whoever's president, is going to be such a trying time for the at least the U.S. economy, if not the global economy, that I'd say these are the last debates that are not going to talk about that kind of stuff, that are not going to talk about inflation. Now, I'll make a bold statement, and I understand I could be completely fucking wrong and way too optimistic, but I'd say they're the last debates that don't mention Bitcoin. You know, I think Bitcoin's going to be that big a deal in the next 4 years.
I mean, it's a stake against what's going to shit right now. So I can see it. We got some people in the chat. We got Cosmic Giggle. What's up, buddy? Kenny's in the chat. Let's see here. We got some comments. The fact that they pushed through a Supreme Court nominee in 2 weeks but couldn't do anything for the American people over a month shows where the priorities lie.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty a ton of comments kind of echoing that belief. I was actually shocked that it went that fast. I thought no way, especially in an election year, but they didn't give a fuck.
They didn't give a fuck.
We're 9 months in and we have no testing or contact tracing nationwide.
You know, and to go back to the court thing, like I don't know that much about it, but my dad was a judge, like just a fucking like small town judge in my town of 1,000 people. Like, I'm not saying he was a fucking, Supreme Court circuit judge. It was like Wednesday nights, and he didn't have, he wore sweatpants underneath his suit. But, he's really into that stuff. And I think, what did he say? She's only been a judge for like 3 years.
I think it's pretty limited. I know she was like a lawyer before then.
Like, yeah, and it's like, really? Like, I don't know much about her. I will say, like, in defense of her, everyone's like, she's Catholic. You can't have that. It's like, and then I was thinking about him, like, fucking Joe Biden's Catholic. Like, what are you saying about, like, you could be a Catholic president, but not a Catholic judge. And I believe Sotomayor on the Supreme Court is Catholic, and she's liberal, so like they're okay with that, I guess. But regardless, it's like, have we lowered our expectations of the professionalism of our Supreme Court justices to the level that we need for our president? Where like, okay, so we have a reality TV show guy as our president. Like, I mean, could Judge Judy be a Supreme Court justice? Like, is that where we're at? Are we at that? I saw there's a great show on Amazon, Gary Busey, pet judge. Like, is that enough experience to be in the highest court in the land?
Somebody said that she has almost no litigation experience on either side of the bench.
Yeah, like what? I don't know. But again, the Supreme Court falls under the same thing that I was saying before of like, that's no more important to humanity, to the fucking sentient beings creating the infrastructure on this rock floating around a nuclear explosion in the middle of a vacuum. It has no more importance than your Christmas tree. So and that's my perspective, is like, fuck it, whatever. That's the rules. That dude's in charge. Those people are in charge. They can change the rules to put her in charge, and that's what they did. Because it's a stupid fucking monkey game. That's what happens when monkeys play games.
Will from Cosmic Giggle said, I think about the time wave thing that Terrence McKenna was working on, and it really feels like things are just keep getting weirder and weirder.
Oh, dude. I remember, I think that I had a pretty big mushroom trip, and maybe I've talked about it. I don't know. But I think right before Trump got elected, we wouldn't have been doing the podcast then, right?
No. Because we started probably
And I wouldn't have
2
done
years, something like that. 2 years ago.
Okay, right. Okay. So yeah, I think I had a pretty decent mushroom trip by myself. Either the night before that election or around that time. And I was definitely still in that fucking weird state.
Glow.
Yeah, the week after or whatever. And I remember on Facebook someone had a meme in some psychedelic group that I was in, and it was one of those like we've talked about it before, the Google Dream software, like eyes and stuff. And it was Trump, and it was a picture of like one of his pictures from his debates where he's like sticking a finger up, and then it said like, and it was weird like that, and then it said things are already weird, hold on, they're going to get a lot weirder, I'm going to make sure of that, Donald Trump. And like it was like a quote, but it's obviously not something that he said, but it was like a meme or whatever but it was that picture with the Dream software. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh shit, I fucking jumped timelines to like Weirdville, And
it's all your fault, Rubin.
And it's been fucking really weird since then. Like I remember that. I remember that meme. Like it was a very impactful meme on me. And I'm like, shit. I fucking jumped timelines. Like, and there's every now and then when shit gets really weird this year where I'm like, man, I jumped timelines. Like I'm on the weird one. And then I listen to people like people that really believe in the timeline stuff. I don't know if you ever heard of the 2-cup method. So it's this thing people do where you get like a cup of water here and a cup of water there, and you write like the timeline, like kind of the main focus of a timeline that you want to like jump to, and you put it on the 1 cup, and you sit there and you like meditate on what that timeline would feel like, what it would feel like to be you in that timeline, and then you drink that cup of water, and then I mean, it's probably all like the power of suggestion, and there's probably a lot of like the same type of stuff with your brain that I've talked about with like hypnotism and psychics and stuff like that. But I think you like kind of like automatically like start acting like that person, and circumstances, play out the way they would for that person in that timeline. But I kind of feel like I did that to myself, and that's the simulation we're running right now, is like the weirdest one ever. And so all that stuff, if I sound optimistic, it's because I kind of feel like I'm on the weird timeline. And like, I think crypto and psychedelics could take over and fix all the shit that broke with the regular system right now, because I'm on the weird timeline. So why couldn't that happen?
More possibility on this timeline. Somebody commented, 2 girls, 1 cup.
Oh, that's what it was. I'm sorry. I had that totally wrong. I don't know what the hell I was.
So actually, Will commented something that's definitely understood, but I want to actually circle back, which is something that we touched on earlier. I think psychedelics can help in these times, and they give you perspective. Obviously, both you and I agree, and I'm sure the audience does as well. But I wanted to ask you about one of the comments earlier was about microdosing in these times and how they help. The commenter was thanking the perspective that microdosing and sometimes macrodosing, or not necessarily macrodosing, but larger than a microdose, has helped him.
Yeah. Well, so I don't remember. It may have been a month ago, but the microdosing video I posted, that was the last time I microed, but it was fucking awesome. Like, I hope that came across in the video, like how good of a day that was, but it was fucking fantastic. And I was thinking about, it's funny you bring it up because I was actually today, like I didn't really have a lot to do for work, but like it was kind of a stressful weekend. I had a tree fall down at my house yesterday and spent the whole day like chopping that up and cleaning it and all this stuff. And it was just a busier weekend than I would have liked. But anyway, today I was like, okay, I don't have that much to do. Like, I'm really lucky in my job. Like, I have like no accountability and like nobody really checks on me or follows up or GPSs me. And I'm like the only one in my state, in my program. And so it's like, I don't know, like the only thing that makes me even do anything is guilt almost. But anyway, yesterday, an old friend of mine from my last job texted me and was like, "Hey, I'm going out hiking, looking at some nature preserves with my father-in-law, who's I know him. He's been a naturalist for like 45 years at the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, and seeing if you're busy, if you want to go." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude!" You know. And it was like a nature preserve, like half an hour from my house, and nowhere near where I needed to be for work. But I was like, "Fuck it, whatever." So I went, and then I was like, "Okay, so I want to like have fun with them and have this hike and learn some stuff or whatever, you know, just catch up." But then like after that, I'm gonna really need to kick ass to like get something done. I mean, it's Monday. I can't start on totally not getting anything accomplished. So I needed something like, you know, motivation wise. And I was kind of like weighing back and forth, like microdose or modafinil. And I ended up taking modafinil, which I pretty about, you know, the middle of the day, I was like, I should have microdosed. You know, like it, I had a good time, but I felt very rushed. I felt very like I was catching up with a friend, but I felt like I was wasting time. And I think if I would have microdosed, I would have been really engrossed in that moment, reconnecting with a friend, you know. And then I still got a lot of work done afterwards. So the modafinil did the productive part. And was motivational in that aspect, but I think the microdosing can have that same energy rush, motivation kind of thing, but also be a little more living in the now, living in the moment. If that makes sense.
No,
I don't know.
That totally makes sense. I haven't started.
Yeah.
I just grounded up a good amount so I can capsule them, and I can start doing like a regiment for microdosing, but I haven't started yet.
You know, I would recommend though, you know, and it's what I talked about in that microdosing video, like not doing a regimen and doing it like today's going to be an awesome day and not weighing it out. You know, I don't know how much I took on that hike. You know, I just ate the biggest stem in the box or in the Tupperware, you know. Like, and I was gonna weigh it out, and I was like, nah, don't weigh it out. You know, and so like I think that adds to that like you're gonna get the effect. Like you're gonna take more than the 0.1. You don't want sub threshold. When you're doing the non-weighing method, you don't want sub threshold. You want
to feel it.
You want to feel it, you know. But know that it's not like I'm going to be able to drive on this or whatever, you know. Like you're not trying to trip. Just trying to really fucking like make that day awesome, you know. And so I recommend that if people have enough to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I want to get to the point. Well, now that I grounded it, I have to capsule it because otherwise it's like, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Like just taking it on good days, so like days that you know that are going to be really solid. I don't know. Like there's a positive shift that happens whenever I take it, microdose wise, that will get me more active. So like even if I take it on a day that's not necessarily going to be a great day, it will do something that rewires my daily thought process to the point that I'm just like, I should probably get outside. I should probably go on a walk, you know? And I think that's also equally as valuable. Like it can get you unstuck, you know?
Yeah. You know, I've been, so like we've talked about how I do all the cannabis pills and stuff. So the last batch I made, I was about to dump out the solids. And I was like, man, what if I'm not doing like enough? What if I'm like a fully saturated oil and there's still shit in this? And I was like, why don't I just fucking do another cup of coconut oil, melt it in there, freeze it, do a second run, you know? So I have these pills right now that are second run. And they're obviously less potent. One barely, you know, it has almost a CBD like effect. And I put so much CBD in it that, you know, they are pretty potent in just CBD, regardless of how much THC was left in them. But I've been taking 2 of those, enough so that I feel it, but it's nowhere near the potency of like getting baked or anything like that. So it's almost like microdosing THC at that level where like it's above threshold, but I'm not high, you know? And, man, that's a great, I wish I knew like the milligram dosage of THC because it's been really fucking good. Like they're like, I take them after work and just like, I'm just like having fun with the kids, but I'm not high. Like I still end up getting high later, you know? But it's like, man, I wish I did know, and especially not just the THC level, but the ratio to the CBD, you know, of like where I'm at with that. Cause it's a really good dose. And it's like kind of right to that point that you're trying to guess with mushroom microdosing. But also a little less weird, more of this, just the positive uplifting thing. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to recommend people do that, but I guess what I'm getting at is like lower doses and microdosing THC is fucking good too. Like microdosing mushrooms or cannabis is super beneficial for all those things.
Dude,
you know,
Will from the Cosmic Giggle said he's been smoking weed after a 30-day tolerance break, and damn, all caps.
Oh, imagine.
They should provide a psychedelic of your choice to vote. Hey, show up and you can choose something.
Yeah, I used to say, well, I wouldn't even say used to say, during Obama's second campaign, re-election, whatever. I was very big on saying vote third eye party. And I was like, and people would be like, what the fuck's third eye party? And I'd be like, that's where you don't vote and you trip on election day. And but I only did that once, but I was campaigning for that movement.
That'd be weird
hard.
watching the results coming in, like tripping.
Well, I
tripped. Okay. Because I'd be like, why do these people
so
care
I was coming
so
down,
much?
I was coming down, and that one I really didn't care about. Like it was the next, and no, I was jamming with people that night. I like tried out for a band that night. That's what it was. And we were going outside to smoke, and it was already kind of weird because I tripped that day. And then I was like meeting people I didn't know. And we were going outside to smoke, and one dude was like looking on his phone, or someone called him. I think, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, and he was Republican, and he was pissed, and he left at the smoke break of the band tryout. And then I didn't get in the band either because
we got Adam saying we should vote on the type of psychedelic the elected president has to take during their inauguration. That'd be wild.
I can't wait till psychedelics are mentioned in a debate. I bet that'll.
I think that's far off, though, unfortunately. Unless it's a hit piece. Unless it's it wasn't these videos of you tripping on DMT.
It'll
on
be
YouTube.
In passing. Yeah, it'll be in passing. It'll be like, I supported bill, 420 to legalize psychedelic mushrooms. I care about veterans and PTSD.
Yeah,
It'll
true.
be something like that.
It won't be as direct.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got in the chat, man. I think that's pretty much everything from the chat.
So, going back to Will, did you do Sober October, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he did Sober October. I think I think he did. Any president-elect should smoke DMT live at inauguration. Live. Just a live stream. You have to watch him on Twitch or YouTube. That's Joshua Rowland, by the way. Tremendous. Yeah.
I'd vote for it. To build off of what I was saying earlier about blockchain voting, if you had this app that you could get your non-fungible token and your universal basic income wallet all in one government, central bank approved app. What if we get to a point where there isn't fucking debates? There isn't town halls. There isn't rallies, What if we get to a point where there's too much viruses that get spread at these rallies? We can't do that anymore. And all campaigning is done on this app. And it's like a little YouTube, but all it is fucking politics. And that could sound scary. But it could be, what if fucking candidates just live streamed on this app? I mean, they already did like the town halls, live streamed on YouTube and stuff like that mainly. What if that was all in that app? And I mean, I could see it going there. Like, it's scary and good, I could see definite positive things there, but definitely negative things too that people wouldn't tune into. I mean, it's not like you fucking have to watch it. But I could see us going that way. Once the boomers are done and cable television really doesn't do the trick for them in swaying elections and stuff like that, and brainwashing people, they'll go to the apps. They'll go the fucking TikTok route.
Next thing you know, like the next president is doing the WAP on.
Yeah. I mean, I guarantee that happens. And so if that's the case, like, what gets you on the app or whatever, there could be the DMT president that fucking does trip reports on the app and
just gets the most upvotes or something.
Yeah, smoke salvia and his wife has to fucking get him off the roof. Like there could be.
Will said, I did Sober October. The weed highs have been really tripping, and it's really nice to be back. Let's see. Somebody said bringing up marijuana as a policy option seemed unfathomable less than 10 years ago.
Yeah. And, and that's, I'll put this out there. Like, obviously I pay a lot of attention, but I'm also not emotionally involved. And a big reason for that is because of the complete lapse in logic in our policy. Like, until a candidate gets up there and one of their biggest talking points is how ridiculous it is that in this country, a man with a gun can put you in a cage because you have a flower in your pocket that they don't like. Until that logic no longer exists in any of our policy, in any of our laws, in any of our, economic structure that funds this whole shit show, all the fines that come from all that, well, then y'all aren't really fucking interested in talking, Like, it's all nonsense until everyone can agree, like, well, yeah, but that's kind of fucked up about the flowers. Like, people should be allowed to have flowers without a man with a involved, and until, like, that's the overriding logic, like, y'all are just fucking playing around. Like, it's all American Idol until, like, we're not serious until we're like, hey, let's not make flowers illegal, okay? And when everyone's like, yeah, flowers shouldn't be illegal, then we can start talking. Then we can talk about how we're going to fucking explore the universe and, create warp drives so that we don't have to, use these massive explosions to get off the planet and stuff like that. Until that is the barrier, like, or the great filter, I think I've talked about it before, but you know, the idea that like intelligent life in the universe is condemned to its planet unless it can get through the great filter. And I think that part of that great filter, it involves a lot of other things, a lot of other parts of society. But one of the things in there is like, okay, hey, don't make any of the stuff that grows out of the ground illegal because there's a use for all this stuff. And you know, I it's amazing that it's 2020, that I'm almost 40 years old, and marijuana does not come up once in any of these fucking debates. You know?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's like part of any either candidate's platform, really. I mean, I'm sure it's there online and all that, but
they barely mention it. You know, I think, and they go back and forth. You know, depending on what crowd they're fucking talking to. I mean, it's
no. We just have another comment, but if you want to keep going on that, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like this, right? If you want to see how stupid the fucking two-party system is, I just saw this the other day, and it blew my mind, and it blew away any guilt I have lingering from my parents and their democratic ways. Of that, any guilt I had of not supporting the Democratic Party at this, you know, their most dire moment. It seems to be, is for, I don't know, fucking 20 years. One of the pillars of the Democratic Party has been to ban fracking. Like, that's all you hear. You know, it's like, if it could be like, if you ask someone on the street, if you're like, hey, how do you feel about guns? You could tell what party they are. And if you were like, hey, how do you feel about fracking? You could tell what party they were, you know. Ever since the John McCain drill baby drill days, the Democratic Party has been the anti-fucking drilling and fracking party. And since the Biden has been, you know, crowned the king of the blue team, the interest in fracking has waned because of his popularity in Pennsylvania, which is a heavy fuel fossil fuel job area. And so to win that area, you have to walk very gingerly with how you talk about fossil fuel policy. Well, I think before Biden was the candidate, the polling of Democratic voters was that 80% supported fracking bans. We were hovering at about 65% of Democratic voters supporting fracking bans before the vice presidential candidate debate. And Biden, when people brought up fracking, he's been very, like, you know, evasive and being like, I'm going to start talking about this, you know, that kind of thing that politicians do. And then he never really had to answer the question. But Harris answered the question straight out. Was like, no, we support fracking. The Democratic Party has always supported fracking. It's a main source of jobs in our country, and it's a key to our energy independence, or something. I'm paraphrasing, but you know, that's basically what she said. And so a couple days later, when they polled Democratic voters again, they had dropped 25%. So 1 in 4 Democrats after that gets polled after the vice presidential debate are like, yeah, you know what? I'm okay with fracking. Yeah, fuck fracking. Yeah, as long as Trump's out of office, you can frack my fucking house. I don't give a shit. You know, that's what 25% of the millions and millions of voters were like, okay, hey, whatever Team Blue says, we're going. You know, it's no different than you know, you follow the White Sox, right? So it's no different. Like, if you're like, I'm a season ticket holder, I love this fucking pitcher, and then they were like, hey, guess what? The new starting pitcher is going to be the manager's cousin. He's never played before, but he's fucking cool. He's got cool hair, and everyone's like, yeah, fuck yeah, go White Sox, go Sox. If like 25% of the fucking White Sox fans were like, yeah, fuck it, he's got cool hair. You know, and that's like what happened. And we're just supposed to be like, oh, well, yep, cool. You know, and it just shows how like the party is the most important
Mm-hmm.
fucking thing. That like the other shit just doesn't. It doesn't matter. The policy doesn't matter. It's all about winning. It's all about the team.
Yeah. I'd like to think that I use my brain more as a White Sox fan, though.
Well, yeah, sports fans definitely are smarter than
we
politics
got
fans.
Rubin. Somebody said, Rubin, look at what some of the young candidates have been doing on Twitch in response to your political app. AOC and Ellen had been streaming, and the engagement on those few streams has been wild.
Yeah, it will. Once the boomer generation is not the driving force of the voting energy, it's going to be the Gen Z crowd, you know. Well, maybe not even Gen Z, but just people that are like more open to technology, you know.
Somebody asked,
like I said before, the boomer crowd's the only ones that fucking answer a number that they don't know and end up talking to fucking telemarketers and you know, auto warranty people and fucking pollsters, you know.
Yeah. Somebody asked, wouldn't blockchain voting be direct democracy?
It would. And so I've always said that, like, I was arguing with my brother-in-law on a vacation one time, and like my whole family's all fucking true blue, man. They're all they buy it fucking hook and sinker, you know. So like I end up like my whole family thinks I'm like alt-right just because I don't fucking sit there and, you know, watch liberal porn with them, you know. And so yeah, we were having this talk about shit. What got me on that?
Just there? That the blockchain being a direct democracy.
Oh, and he was like, "So do you not support representative democracy?" And I was like, "No, actually, I don't." And I didn't know direct democracy was like a term, but he was like, "Well, direct democracy is a pipe dream," and I remember him telling me that. And this was like before I got into blockchain. And, you know, I was like, representative democracy sounds good, but it's completely swayed by lobbyists and corporations and special interest groups. And like, it makes the actual people that are being represented not represented, you know? But I remember thinking that when I was thinking about the blockchain voting, is that, it's totally, we could get rid of elected officials. We could vote on policy through, you know, technology. Now, however, it's like we have to progress in the way that we interact in social media and, you know, just online in general to get to a point where that doesn't turn into a shit show.
That could go south.
Yeah. Like I mean, you can't have like actual you can't have the men with guns in control of the cages being directed by Twitter polls. You know, it's different. I'm envisioning another step forward in not only our technical ability, but our technical responsibility. You know, of like how, like we've got this amazing step forward for humanity, and we're not using it right. Like, you know, we're in an infantile stage of humans and the coevolution of humans and technology, the internet. But I do see it going that way. You know, direct democracy is a potential outcome of where we're going. Not necessarily that like anytime
that'd
soon,
be nice though.
You know,
sure. Like we wouldn't need Congress essentially. But yeah, that we need to evolve as critical thinkers if we want that responsibility. Because otherwise, like all social media is going to be is like vote this on Prop fucking 22. You know, like
Right. And, and then all of a sudden you're going to be, mowing your lawn with your shirt off and like the cops come and arrest you. Like, nah, man, we voted no shirts off while you're mowing. You're like, what the fuck? My phone died. I was waiting for a replacement, or whatever. Like,
yeah.
But, um, I'm just saying like potential of where we could end up, It
would be nice, man. Somebody commented we would be Congress.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, we would, like all these things I've been railing about, like Congress and electoral college and political parties, they all came about at a time where most people were illiterate and all they did was farm all day. And they didn't have time to fucking pay attention to politics. So the political party was like, hey, I know you don't know how to read, but you better vote for this guy because he loves farmers. And you're like, he loves farmers? Sweet, I'm down. I'm going to vote for him. And that's what the political party was. The electoral college was like, these illiterate farmers don't know what's going on, but all the people around where everything's happening in the cities, they do. So we need to give an equal voice to these illiterate farmers. And that's what the electoral college came from. We are so far past that being a reality. I mean, people are still dumb as fuck, don't get me wrong. But everyone could make an informed decision if they wanted to. We don't need these institutions to make that informed decision for them anymore.
It would be cool to, like, instead of politicians getting paid to make certain votes, people could get paid to make those votes. But that'd be nice.
Right. And that goes back to the fucking non-fungible token idea. And you could trade those, and they're used in all sorts of advertising metrics, and like, I mean, there's a whole bunch of like technical reasons that would give that value, but also it's just redeemable from the United States Treasury or whatever, just to have people be a part of the system. You could do that.
We have let's see, a comment about the weed legalization of the current candidates. So we said Cory Booker and Kamala Harris attacked Joe Biden at one of the debates about how cannabis needs to be legalized federally, and at that time he just wanted to decriminalize it at the time instead of legalize it. So
I mean, it's just stupid. Like, it shouldn't even be a debate.
You're right, though. We have to cross that bridge of, like, it's a plant.
You have to cross that bridge because it's like the fact that, like, Cory Booker, I'm glad that he would grill Biden on it. But what I want to hear from a candidate is something like what I said, where they're like, it's a plant, and there's a man with a gun that can put you in a cage if you have it in your pocket. Cut the bullshit. Support not making it legal for a man with a gun to put someone in a cage because they have that's what I want to hear.
It's that simple.
It's that simple. Like, I don't know if I really respect the logic of anyone who would hear that and be like, well, there's there could be people at parties. No, shut the fuck up. It's a goddamn flower. I could go to the liquor store right now and get enough liquid that looks like water to kill everyone on my block. Like, shut the fuck up about this flower that smells good and makes you laugh and eat chips.
Dude, I visited I was hanging out with some buddies one weekend, and we went to the local grocer, and like right by the liquor section were handles, that size bottle of freaking hand sanitizer. It looked exactly like vodka, and it was like 90%. And I was just like, what the fuck? Somebody's gonna grab this and drink it. Like, somebody's gonna 100% grab and drink it. It was like $12 for a handle or some shit. It's just like, this is madness, man, that this is available.
Oh, people, the coronavirus pandemic hand sanitizer shortage was the best thing to ever happen to fucking day drinker alcoholics that were drinking hand sanitizer anyway. Because once they cut out that middleman of making it a gel, and they were like, we just didn't water this down, so it's hand sanitizer. They're like, fuck yeah. Like that chick from I don't know if you ever used to watch Intervention, but there was like this lady on there. It was like a day drinking mom, and she used to drink mouthwash because she couldn't afford booze, so she would drink mouthwash. Like for people like that, they're like, fuck yeah, give me a hand sanitizer. I'm really worried about the coronavirus. I've even noticed because it's all the distilleries making the hand sanitizer, there's a certain brand or whatever that's in like the squirt bottles at like government buildings and stuff like that. It smells like straight up tequila.
Buddy had that. My buddy had that. He would put it on his hands. It's just straight tequila, basically.
Straight up tequila. It's obviously tequila spirit or agave spirit.
Weird. You're right though. That is all that's available, but not a nice little flower or a nice little fungus.
Yeah. Yep.
Anything else you wanted to touch on, man? Nothing else really from the chat, but I guess do we have our own closing statements for tomorrow? Like we're in a debate or something?
I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but it's like none of this fucking matters in the long run. Like shit's gonna get crazy. It'll probably get crazier than even I think it could get. Just take care of yourself, take care of your community. Like I think that's another big thing. Like I've talked about the two-party system going down. I think for the most part, people need to be losing belief in the federal government's ability to fucking manage this crazy, global fucking civilization we are now, and how connected we are, and how much information and misinformation we get. And no fucking president, no congressman is going to be able to really regulate any of that, and that's where we're headed. We're headed towards more decentralization. And that's why I talk about fucking psychedelics and crypto and all that. It's all decentralization, and government is not immune to the decentralization of humanity going forward.
Yeah. The only thing I would have to say is I kind of echoing what you're saying is like, just hold strong to the family, man. Hold strong to the family. Hold strong to things that make you happy. I posted the Discord link in the chat. Stuff like that can kind of get you away from any distraction or division. Anywhere else, you're going to find something that's wanting to divide you. I mean, any news source will divide you. Sports entertainment will divide you. I mean, shit, Dancing with Stars makes you want to vote for somebody, right? It's all about division, but if you can avoid all that and still find reasons to come together, like that's, to me, that's all that matters. So tomorrow's not going to be the end of the world, no matter what happens.
No, and it's just the start. Right? Like I feel like tonight's like New Year's Eve, and like tomorrow's New Year's Day, man. Like it's all fucking, it's a new thing tomorrow, man. Regardless of what happens, it's all the shit everyone's been guessing about and putting out their ideas or whatever. Like it's all fucking done tomorrow. So, I don't know. We just got to keep on keeping on. And I have faith that all the things that we're into and that all the people that vibe with us are into, like those are all the good things that are going to flourish. I think that's the motivation and the calling. I had to start this fucking YouTube channel, was like, this is the moment that I talk about in the first fucking video I did, and I feel like as long as we all stick together, like you said, through the Discord and everything, and just block out the noise, we're all focusing on the good things in life, and we will be okay. I'm anxious because I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm not anxious to where like it's gonna work out for like me and my friends and family, like you said, you know.
Yeah, man. Well, I think that's about it, man. I will. It was awesome talking to you about this.
Yeah, no, it was a good one, and thanks for everyone joining in on the chat and everything.
Tonight, man. We got to do more political streams.
I know, yeah. So yeah, we're going all political now. I'm always going to be wearing this suit and sweating my balls off, and that's what we're doing now. And so if you used to chime in for all the other weirdo stuff we used to talk about, sorry for your luck. We're straight mainstream now.
All right, dude. Well, have a good night, buddy. Later.
All right, see you, dude.